Great. Okay. I have set my cell phone alarm to remind us of this. So it goes off right before 9 to just remind me I got to get on, but also that to remind me about the recording.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Believe me. Well, since I saw Bill yesterday, I'll just tell you all that our trip to the West Coast is canceled because Jane's sister is really down with COVID, and her brother, who was the center of the party in Santa Fe, is down with bad flu, and so everything's canceled. So we will have class next week.
All right, I have to give a talk next week. I'm on a panel in the morning, so I will not be available.
Okay, well,
but yep, I'll be back.
You other guys have to remind me to record for Joanne.
Let me remind him to record so I can see it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I can make it next week either, David. When I come back to work is next Tuesday.
Yep.
And they were supposed to launch the third unit that we're opening on Monday. So I'm anticipating next week work is going to be pretty messy.
A little intense.
So I might need to kind of feel out how Tuesday goes when I go back to work and see if I can make class.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So where is Bill? Okay. Maybe I worked him too hard yesterday. Okay, well, we will progress. Good. So, questions? Reports?
I listened to the recording for the part that I missed, the later part, and I found your discussion about yin yang movement and your questions, Adam, to be really helpful. And yeah, it was a kind of a good reminder.
Yeah.
Around flow and where. Where are those spots? And yeah, right, exactly. So that I did find that very helpful.
Good.
A good kind of, sometimes it's a reminder. Sometimes the first few times we hear something, we lose it as we're trying to put everything together. It's really easy to lose various aspects, or make assumptions or think you're doing it right when maybe you're not. So anyway, that was good. Thank you.
As I keep doing this over the years, I've discovered that I think it takes a minimum of 3 or 4 repetitions before we really get it. And even that may not be enough. So we need to be reminded. I mean, I keep going back over things myself. I'm not suggesting that I don't need it too. Indeed, I do.
I thought you were going to say 3 or 4 lives. So,
well, yes. When we really get down to it, yes. Yes, I don't think I'm going to make enlightenment in this life. I'm going to have to go to another one.
You better get it next time around, yeah.
Bill, what about you?
Well, I did practice. I didn't get to the recording yet, unfortunately. So, but now I'm encouraged to by Joanne gave a 5-star review for Adam's
That's right,
question and
it's very
stuff.
helpful.
Okay.
But
All right.
yeah, but I've been trying to rotate my mind intent to, as I go through it, to all the different aspects that we're focusing on, because I can't do more than one at once. It
Right.
seems like.
Good.
Right.
Good. That's what you have to do until they begin to not need to be rotated.
Yeah.
And
I
you
think
know,
some things seem to be more ingrained,
mhm.
although there's always, if you come back even to just the mechanics of it, if you come back to that in any one aspect, there's always refining to do.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Absolutely. Anything for you, Adam?
No questions. I just worked on using Dragon and Tiger to try and feel out those yin and yang pathways, which
Good idea. Yeah.
was a big help.
In looking back at last week, which I do every once in a while because I find that helps me to be aware of where we are and what we've done. But in looking at Adam moving in movement 4, I realized that I think you're rotating the wrong edge of the hands in that. In other words, it looks to me like when you're coming down that you're rotating the thumb edge in and then the thumb edge out as you go up. And that really should be the opposite. It should be the little finger edge.
Little finger edge in.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
a little
Ah,
edge in and the little finger edge out all the way up so that you end up with
Mm.
palms facing out
oh,
or outward at the top.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's a good point, because I've been, do I want to be connected there or more out? That has been a little confusion point for me. That's a good comment.
You know, it how far the arms rotate there really is it's a matter of how you feel the energy rising up the side channels to the top of your head, ideally, and eventually into the etheric body above your head. And so if you twist them too much, that won't be good.
Yeah.
So you have to feel what works there. What actually helps you connect to the energy. And one of the reasons why that became apparent to me as I was watching Adam is that 4 and 6, which look similar, actually are working with opposite edge of the hands in their rotations. So 4 is rotating the little finger edge of the hand in all the movement, and 6 is rotating the thumb edge. So it is kind of necessary to be aware of that. But in terms of the coming out, this might, it doesn't have to be here. It might be here. The twisting in doesn't have to be extreme. The only place you really have to be really aware of that twisting out is really important as you extend to the sides, and you really try to feel that etheric body and the energy dropping to your feet in that movement.
One of the things I've noticed that I was doing, and when thinking about twisting part, is twisting and then moving, and you want to get it gradual. That is one of the harder parts to do gradually. Yeah, but when I do it, that gives an oomph to the feeling of the energy.
Absolutely, yeah, and that is, you're absolutely right. It is one of the difficult things. Is we want all of these things to be connected and continuous, and it's not easy.
The one point with that, and could do it with any of the movements, is right when you're making the transition, right at that moment of twisting out, and now we're starting to twist in and come down. I don't understand that moment.
Oh dear.
I mean,
What do you mean?
the transition points are part of the issue. That's what I think it was being talked about last week too. But those transitions, I'm with you, Bill. I'm kind of like, what? Where were our kids? I think I've had them pretty solidly here, not there, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, some people doing the form, and Jay would be an example, are really violent at that point of transition in their Tai Chi form.
Yeah.
And others are, and you know, I would describe your examples as being, you know, a gentle but distinct transition. So, you know, there's just something in there that I can't put into words. That I feel like that's, you know, that's reversing everything at once energetically.
Yep.
But
and you're right. Those transition points are extremely important and are indeed difficult to make smooth. We so often tend to pause at a transition point. I see it frequently in this posture when we get down to the bottom and the arms spread to the side. There's often a pause, very small, but a pause there before the rotation continues going up. So it's you know, it has to be related to feeling the energy rising in the body to the point where it has to transition to descending in the body. And we go through stages. You might be getting the movement of the arms up above the crown of the head, but your energy might only be rising to here. Because sometimes it takes us a while to open everything up and get it to flow fully in both directions. So really the important thing there is to feel, when has the energy arrived? Because maybe it arrives at this point, and that's your transition point, because that's as far as you can raise the energy in your body at the moment. And so if you are stuck in your head that, oh, I've got to get the energy up here, but it's not going there, then it's not wrong to have the intent, but if you're trying to force it to go beyond where it actually is rising to, then that's defeating the purpose, and that can cause a break in the flow. So it's sensing where your transition point is at the moment, and it can change. I think one of the postures where this is really, really it's really it can be really clear, but it often changes a little bit from day to day, is posture 5. It's really interesting because I find though that some days I get the hands to here and the energy is up there. And other days it has to go 2 or 3 inches higher. And the transition point on the sides is not straight out, but angled down somewhere. So you really just have to continue to open up your feeling of where the transition point is and being responsive to that and letting yourself make the transition wherever it is at the moment in your body. Which is one of those subtle, nebulous things. It's not a Western concrete answer.
Yeah, it is hard because there is this feeling, like I've finished twisting, or I've finished inhaling, or I've finished, and I'm going to exhale and I'm going to twist out, but it's not that, it's not like we finished one thing and we're commencing the next thing. The transition point is a little different from that thinking.
Well,
I think.
well, it is, and the really Bruce describes it this way, and that is that eventually, even the change from inhale to exhale and exhale to inhale is like this, as well as those changeover points of the energy and their movement in your body. And that is that it isn't that it goes to this point and then it starts and continues on. If we think of rising and sinking, it goes up and the other one starts before it completes. So the transition points are not end to end, but they're interlinked.
Oh, sure, David.
Well, we're inhaling and exhaling simultaneously.
And that's not I mean, you can't intellectually do that. You have to feel that, but you do have to intellectually understand that is what eventually you want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of this is a help, Bill.
No, I think it's a good thing to think about, and I think that is helpful. When we get to moving some, if you could demonstrate what you're talking about with 6, with the thumb leading.
Sure.
And 4.
Yeah, 4.
I'm having a hard time with twisting out of 4, trying to visualize what you mean. I don't know why.
Okay.
Twisting out on 4 seems to, I can't figure out how you get to where you're supposed to be.
All right. In that case, let's just do that for a moment. So we're coming out of this from 3, obviously. And so we probably start somewhere in this alignment as we go into 4.
Mhm.
And so if the little finger edge is going to twist in, it's going to go this way as you go down,
Mhm.
because it's going to twist towards the center line of the body. So as you're going down in 4, it's twisting in. And then as it begins, that little finger edge begins to twist out. It's going out to the side and it keeps twisting. And that's where, in that transition, you have to have that drop of the elbows that allows you to keep twisting that out up to the top, and then you can twist in again.
Mhm.
Is that okay, Adam?
Yeah, so we're twisting the little finger edge
Little
in
finger.
and out. Okay.
So you're going to twist the little finger edge in, out, in,
Mhm.
and so it's not going to be a big movement. I'm not
Okay.
going to here. I'm it's whatever you feel there.
Mhm.
In 6, when we've come down in 4, and now as we're going out, the thumb edge twists out, twists away from the center line of the body.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it twists out and then it twists in. And it twists out all the way to your transition and in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anybody have a question about that?
No, that was helpful, David. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely doing 4 wrong as well. I was doing more of a transition at the side to the thumb, I think.
Yeah, you have to.
Halfway up the side.
Yeah, you have to make that spread to the side, not rotate it too much.
Yeah.
So that you still have rotation as you rise. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
But the
Helpful.
transition actually starts as you start spreading your hands to the side.
Yes.
Yes.
So the twisting in goes down to the bottom to your dantian.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start twisting out to the sides. That's what drives the energy out to the edges of your etheric body and down to your feet.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there other questions?
With moving the fascia, should we just keep focusing in the extremities? I mean, at some point you move the fascia in the back and the torso,
Mm.
or is that down the road?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's your second life, Adam, not your next
Yeah,
life.
right. Yeah, maybe like 4 or 5.
Well, we do. Actually, we begin to look at how we're moving in back more as we go along here.
Okay.
That will appear. Yes.
Cool.
Because that's a difficult piece of all of this, and it becomes really important eventually that you have that you're able to move the energy back at the same time that it goes forward, and that you're moving the fascia everywhere, and you're twisting everywhere, and you're lengthening everywhere. I mean, that doesn't, we work on these things first just in the arms and the legs, but it's happening throughout the entire body.
Hmm.
So eventually, yes, it's happening everywhere. When you have the energy going out or up the yang surface, it's going to be going up the back.
Mhm.
So it is indeed the fascia of the back that needs to be moving at that point. So yes,
Okay.
but we'll get to that. You've
Sure.
probably got enough to focus on right at the moment.
That's true.
So, any other issues at the moment? Okay. Well, I don't know how far we're going to get.
Starting a half an hour into it. That's good though. This is very helpful.
Oh, this is important to
This
do.
is really good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not in a class where I have to rigidly
Right. Get to the end of the semester.
No, I don't have to get to the end of the semester. I am trying to get to the end of this training in some year, but so I know Adam has, I can't remember, did you do the meditation class, Joanne?
Years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you did though, did you, Bill?
I have not done the meditation class.
Yeah. We're gonna, at this point, we do a much briefer introduction of outer dissolving at the moment. And this is a good review for those of us who've spent time on it before, but it also is a way to introduce it to those who haven't had that benefit. There are numerous programs online at Energy Arts that do this so in depth. So if you're really interested, you could go back and spend some money and time and explore it. But this will give you the essence of it, I think I'd say. And first, I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of some basic things about chi movement in the gods and in our practices. So everything grows in one of two ways. It grows arithmetically or geometrically. It is the same with chi. So what is arithmetic? You add the numbers up, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. And then what is geometric? Well, here you add the last thing on, and then you multiply. So it becomes 0.1 times 1.2 equals 1.3, and on to 1.5, etc. And that over time, like the miracle of compound interest in finance, really means something. currently, we don't have reliable ways to measure exactly how much qi any given qi practice will generate, both at the moment and over time. We don't have the instruments. However, each of the parts of your arm and legs have qi in it and can pass it on in the chain from the previous part to the next part and the next part. It can just keep on going. In the arms, the chain begins with the spine and reaches out to your fingertips. This said, let's consider these points. Geometric growth is faster than arithmetic. This is no less true in growing qi within the body than it is in making money. The miracle of compound interest, as I said. In this sense, if you practice the movements of gods without connecting up the qi in different parts of your arms and legs, it's like only doing 2 plus 2. It's arithmetic. But if you consciously join the qi of each individual part of your arm to the other, you get a multiplier effect. They are small internal bits, but when they are added on to the original number, 2 times 2 is 4 and 2 times 3 is 6. So you get these compounding over time, every time you do a movement. But that's presuming that you're actually focusing on what will allow geometric growth to happen. So geometric growth will become significantly multiple times higher than arithmetic growth will in qi, in finance, and anything that grows. It doesn't much matter. So you want geometric growth to happen. And the same is true with each individual one of the 16 Neigong. Only each Neigong component starts out at a much larger number and increases at a at a rate more like 0.5 than 0.1 for each segment of your arms. And so the more Neigong pieces you add to the 6 movements of gods, the exponentially greater the benefit will be to you. Now, qi is moved in gods in several ways. First, beginning to advanced, beginning with physical movements. Only there is no consideration of the energy channels. However, how are indirect methods of using the acupuncture surfaces of your body different from using acupuncture points? What is direct and indirect? Well, it's relatively simple. When something is indirect, by working on a specific point, it will do a bunch of different things. That's indirect. But if you take what that point is supposed to do and actually move the qi along all the things that it's supposed to be doing, that's direct. It's not that one thing starts, next thing starts, next thing stops. Using the left, right, and central channel methods, we're going to activate and use the etheric body to access and develop the 8 energy bodies that contact beyond the earth all the relevant entities within it as it pertains to the process of enlightenment within Taoist meditation. This is what Gods does. When Gods really starts cooking, it does everything it does with all 8 of your energy bodies. Or more realistically, all 7 of your energy bodies, because until a person reaches their own individual essence, they have no access to the Tao. They have no way of affecting the Tao. So in this particular lesson, we will be focusing on the indirect method of qi circulation. And in the more advanced section, we'll focus on the direct methods of doing the same things. So if you make your mind travel through your body or any of your energy bodies, and you imagine you focus your intent on affecting qi in a certain way, that's indirect. You're not working directly with the qi itself. You're working with something that somehow is going to spark something to happen in there, in the qi. And when you have direct methods, your mind is going directly to the qi and directly moving the qi. The great difficulty in all this is that it is one thing to say that your mind can go directly into your qi, and it is another thing to do it. So usually, almost all Qigong methods go through a long preparation period of indirectly moving qi. And many other Qigong methods actually never do direct methods. They never even get to being able to directly move qi. But every classic Taoist method has the knowledge to directly move qi. But if it is only happening through visualization, you're not doing it. So let's take this from another point of view. I'll take something that is not Taoism in order to show that the same principle exists elsewhere. When you first do Tibetan Buddhism, you visualize either a deity outside of yourself or you visualize it inside your own body. And then your intent has the idea that qi should move through this and this and this, and that's indirect. When you start getting into the completion stages, meaning you're actually going to do it, finish it, have the ability to do the whole thing, then you go through various sorts of energy practices, which they call salong, which is like pranayama or qigong. You can learn how to, and you get the ability to directly move qi through the body. And then you do the same original process. And they're night and day. Because when you directly move qi through the body, you're on the distinct road toward the enlightenment path. And when you are indirectly moving qi through the body, you're on the direct road to preparing yourself for the enlightenment path. So preparing yourself to make $1 billion is not the same thing as getting the cash. But we will be doing the direct qi circulation in installments later in this series. It's too soon in the program to be doing it now. Now, within Taoism, you're taught to dissolve in every direction that qi could move in the body. Down, up, left to right, inside to outside, until eventually you can dissolve everything in your entire system at once from any point of contact with your mind. But why do we start dissolving down? Well, it's very simple. First, we live in a heavy gravity field, and unfortunately, gravity goes downward on this earth. Not as a thing itself, but as what it does on this earth. And you're dissolving downward because the downward motion of qi releases the stuck energy, the crap that's in your energetic system that you cannot use. It's like, why do you flush your toilet? You don't have to flush your toilet, but eventually all the toxins are going to cause problems. So you get rid of them. And the downward dissolving process is about getting rid of what you cannot process. Now, the upward dissolving process is about building that innate potential that's inside of you. And from a Taoist point of view, you can do something to boost everything inside your body. But if you're having so much poop building up in your intestines, your system doesn't have the ability to process any energy you are taking in. So as a matter of fact, it will probably cause your intestines to explode, which will not lead to a result anybody would be interested in. So the first thing in the downward process is about getting rid of extraneous blocked qi inside of you. Because when that qi becomes unblocked, it is then freed up to be used usefully. So let's say you normally have access to 100,000 units of qi, but 25,000 units of that qi are blocked. That means you only have access to 75,000 units of energy. But if you get rid of that blocked qi, you now have access to the entire 100%. So that's one thing in the dissolving process, what it does. The second one is this. As a general principle, the downward dissolving process does not have the negative side effects that you have, for example, when you bring energy up the body. In every yoga textbook or in the fire school of Taoism, they'll show fire rising. And in Christianity, you'll have the angels flying up to take you to heaven. These are all just things about the upward current of energy. But the upward current of energy has a problem. When it comes up and something is blocked that it can't go through, it very often can blow you out and cause distortions in everything throughout your entire energetic field. And this is why if you look at every esoteric or any system that is based upon energetic movement, when you get the upward flow of energy being inappropriately done, people get sick. They get mentally crazy. They get disassociated from life. They start thinking they're walking with the angels and their feet aren't on the floor and who knows what else. And the worst cases can cause minor or major forms of insanity. So especially if a person has those tendencies inside them to begin with, people have all sorts of dormant mental issues that as long as they're not really triggered, don't cause problems. But when they are triggered, oh boy, they can cause real problems. And the downward dissolving methods make sure that these things do not get triggered accidentally. So first, on the basis of do no harm, downward dissolving process will not do harm to anybody. The upward dissolving process and some of the in and out ones have the potential to cause harm. Anything that is good, if it goes the wrong way, has the potential to cause harm. The downward process does not do that, where the upward and some of the other methods can do it. So it's usually, interestingly enough, the downward dissolving process that can sort out those problems when they do develop. We spend so much time on this over the years in order to fulfill the responsibility of do no harm. Now, what is this dissolving process? It is the hallmark technique of Lao Tzu's form of Taoism. Your body has effectively within it, when it comes to clearing qi, two ways in which it can be done. You can clear blocked qi from inside your body, which is mostly what the inner dissolving process does, or you can take the block chi inside your body and move it to the boundary of your etheric body, because the energy in your etheric body is constantly circulating between the inside of your physical body and the outside. You can release what's inside of you can release what's inside of your body first and bring it to relaxation, and then allow it to dissolve to where it clears your body and goes to the boundary of your etheric body. And when it hits the boundary of your etheric body, it is immediately rendered neutral. And that's just how the human energetic system works. It's rendered neutral, and then through the etheric body, it circulates around you to then come back into your body. And this is because the etheric body is directly connected to the inside of your body. It then becomes useful energy, and you could do with it whatever needs to be done. So there are two more points about this. The phrase has been used so long that nobody knows where it came from. And it is ice to water, water to gas. So solid, liquid, gas. Gas is amorphous, something that has relaxed. If it's in the body, it has some substance that can be noticed. But when it's gone out to the etheric body, it's reached a subtle point where it's amorphous, and then it's gas. Nobody notices it, but it's yet it's there. Increase the pressure on the air, and you'll notice that it can crush every bone in your body. But normally at the level of sea level, nobody notices it, but it is most definitely there. So the way it works is that if we take a body and we take the crown of the head or above your head at the boundary of your etheric body, let your mind go through. Now your mind is going to move through your body, and when it hits a blockage, an energetic blockage, it's going to stop. It's like a diver going down through water, which will not obstruct them. But if they hit a ledge, they can go no further. And if you hit that, how do you know you've hit a blockage? Well, there are 4 conditions. And if in any way, shape, manner, or form you encounter one of these, it means you have hit a blockage. And these are a feeling of strength. And normally strength is a good thing. But here we are really talking about the strength of the ego. The second one is attention. 2 things fighting inside yourself. That's a blockage. And a simple way of looking at it, you have a spasming blood vessel. There is tension. That's why it's called hypertension. Now this is the hard one. This next one, something that doesn't feel quite right, especially if you don't know what it is. So now we're talking about what has often been called the demons of the unconscious mind. What all the crap that's in your subconscious or unconscious mind. These are blockages too. You don't know what they are because most people don't have a really strong connection to their subconscious mind. So they can't look inside and see what is happening. But it'll give off a feeling that can be realized so that all you know is there is a blockage. And then the last one, the fourth one, is any kind of contraction. Instead of what's inside you, your mind going free and easy somehow is contracted, and that's it. Now, once you find you have one of these, it'll be in a point. So then you put your mind, whatever your awareness is, and you put your attention on it. And the blockage is ice, which simply means it's something solidified, something solid. And then with whatever intent you have, you try and relax it. You release it. And then if you relax it far enough, it'll go to water, the sense that it's fluid and it doesn't seem blocked. It's easy. Everything can move inside of it. So some might say that all these relaxation techniques will give you the idea that you get relaxed and it's over. But it's not, because water can go right back to ice. And you usually haven't gotten rid of the source of why it's blocking. You just have a lessening, you just have a lessening of the experience of it. But if it's water, under the right conditions, the water will just turn right back to ice. So you have to go deeper. And you want to get that water to feel inside of you until you can release it from deep inside you right out to the boundary of your etheric body until it clears, until your etheric body absorbs whatever that is. And then it will turn back into the stuff that you can use inside yourself. So ice to water, water to gas. And that's the first thing, but we're not done yet. The next thing that's going to happen is that I need to show you something else, especially when we're going into the water to gas stage. So when you contact a blockage and you have one or two possibilities. You release it to gas and it's over. But the second possibility is that you can't release it. You can't get it to go out into the etheric body. It's still an ice cube. It hasn't turned to water, or even if it turns to water, it hasn't turned into gas. So here's what you do. Think of the body in layers from the top. If you have a blockage at the temple, you could have other blockages anywhere all the way around that layer. What you do when you can't release everything at the temple, well, if you feel a blockage over the eye, then with your mind, you transfer the energy of that first blockage to the new one. Excuse me. And then you try and do the same thing, ice to water, water to gas. So both of them together. And get a resolution. If you do, you simply go down your body to the next place you have a blockage. And then if you don't get a resolution and you get all the way down around that layer, then you go to the next place you feel a blockage and you let everything drop and combine and dissolve. So understand one thing. You have who knows how many layers inside of you. And the defining characteristic of a layer is that it has a blockage in it. If there is no blockage, your mind will just travel through it. no harm, no foul, no problem has been created. No problem has to be fixed. So you'll be dissolving downward. Wherever it is you feel the blockage, ice to water, water to gas. The object is to keep going until finally everything becomes clear. When it becomes clear, then you continue down until you find the next blockage. And I think maybe I'm going to stop there. A lot of words. So next time we'll continue this and then do a dissolving practice together.
Okay.
So any other questions at the moment? So I might say one of the things that is that eventually you are going to do dissolving while you're doing gods. That's why we're going back to this or going into this. So we'll look at dissolving separately first, but then we'll begin to look at actually doing dissolving while you're doing gods. Just to complicate things.
And one more.
Don't want you to get bored.
Yeah, that's been a main problem for all of us.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, have a good week, and I'll look forward to seeing you either in person or on Zoom.
All right. You too, David. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
You can actually dissolve while you're doing the form, too.
Mhm. David, we had gone over a lot of this in class 15 because I was recognizing some of it. That it wasn't identical though. That's why I left for a second. I went and grabbed my notes.
Uh-huh.
And it's a bit different, and there are some other emphases, but yeah.
Yeah, we go, this is a repetition.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, everything can be repetition. It's helpful. So it's not a criticism.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it'll help us go deeper into it. But I don't think we had talked about so much, how to incorporate this. Obviously, we need to. And I think at least Adam and I have probably been through dissolving, certainly in previous classes. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you have. I know that.
I've been through that. But I also realize, no, that's fine. I mean, I realize that not everyone has in this class.
Yep.
But yeah, it's still at times in different places more. Yeah, it's not, at times I feel like it works for me. To other times it's really challenging. Of feeling. And I think we had talked about before, just kind of that repetition of kind of next time around, do it, just to kind of keep trying to get rid of that blockage.
Yep.
At some point you just have to move on to and hope tomorrow works better.
Absolutely. No. Actually, I think I mentioned that a little bit further on, but yeah, you have to really allow yourself to recognize that you've hit a blockage that doesn't matter how long you sit on it, it's not going to let go today. And you've got to just let go of it and recognize that you'll either release it when you get to a lower blockage, or you'll deal with it another day. Indeed. It's just the way it is. I mean, it's interesting. Some days it seems like blockages just release fairly easily, and other days it's just a struggle. I think that's how it is.
That's how it is, right? And our bodies don't always cooperate, yes.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
Ways that we want them to. I think that what this reminds me of is just that necessity of making sure that whether we're doing gods or any Qigong or the form, is that being able to do it without having to think of all the elements that we're putting together, so that when there is something we need to focus on, like blockage, we have the ability to do that and not just
Yep.
have to be stopped in our tracks.
Yep,
And I think that is a challenge. I mean, that is, yeah, we're,
it is a challenge.
but it also, motivates, it also motivates me to kind of go, okay, you really have to get serious about putting these things together and not having to think about everything, but yet we're still kind of like we talked about at the beginning of class, we're still trying to figure out all the yin yang pathways
Yeah.
as we remember what thumb or little finger is leading us.
And what certainly I've found, and I know other people have found, is that as you work on these things, you feel yourself having to focus on them day after day after day, and then all of a sudden it's there and you're not having to focus on it. And often you don't realize when you make that transition.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah, no,
It just-
I think experiencing that helps you realize that that's also in your future.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can, but with practice, yes.
Yeah, well, and it is, yes, it is practice. It's sort of, I was thinking, I don't know why particularly, but I was thinking of scapular movement.
Uh-huh.
That, often we're doing a lot of other things and we just lose track of that. But there comes a point in which you just don't ever make a movement that you haven't kept that connection.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you don't have to think about it because you are automatically feeling it.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
We'll get there.
In one
In
lifetime.
one life or another.
Yeah.
When life is not as challenging around, all our work and all our lives and making
Yeah.
space.
Well, yeah, there are times when we have more time to practice than others.
Yeah, I'm onboarding a couple of new staff for the Community Land Trust. So it's like more work before it becomes less work, right? Or
Yep.
Adam, you're opening a new,
Right.
and it's more work until it's less work, but that
Hopefully,
more work.
hopefully
We're both
that's
in
the
more,
case.
I think we're
Yeah.
both in more work, moments at this point, weeks anyway, months.
So I'm not, however, suggesting that you should try be focusing anyway on dissolving as you're doing the form. I think that's that's even later in the form than it is in God's.
Uh-huh,
Mhm.
yeah,
And learning that you can do it in God's makes it easier, I think, to recognize how you can do it in the form.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I think that two things about gods makes it easier. One is the repetition of
Yep.
the same, right? One is the repetition. And then the other is I tend to be able to really be slower in doing gods than in doing the form. And so I think that it really, those two, and I should be able to be slower in doing the form. I realize that it's a challenge
One would
I
think.
have.
Yeah.
But I do find it easier. Yeah, having, kind of how we do this. Yes, the gods is easier in this way.
Yeah. So the yin yang surfaces and fascia are, I think, a really good thing to focus on in the form.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Okay.
Um, so any particular form questions at the moment?
No, I've not done the form this week at all, I have to admit. Been a physically challenging week, but I'm getting a little better.
Oh, good. Are you still having knee issues?
Yeah, actually, I'm having ankle issues. I think some of it might be adjusting to the blood pressure medication. I'm retaining a lot of water in my lower leg and ankles. I was at the clinic yesterday, so they're, we're giving me something for that. But that does, yeah, that's challenging. I mean, I've always been a water retainer, but this is like more than usual. So
Ah,
that makes it challenging. One more
yeah.
thing. One more thing. The knees aren't too bad until it's going to rain, which of course we've been doing a lot. So
Yeah.
like today.
Later today, yes.
Like later today. Yeah, I could be the weather person, but yeah, yeah, it's been the kind of heavy, yeah, some pain coming from it, but yeah, I need to get out and get the medication before it starts snowing. So
Okay.
one more thing, but anyway,
Well,
Yeah.
try to ski with Tai Chi principles.
I'll do
yeah,
my
we don't
best.
want to hear about any injuries no more.
Yeah. No
Are
injuries
you with your
allowed.
brother?
Yeah, I am.
Uh-oh.
Well, I want both of you to come home whole.
We will.
Yes,
Okay.
great.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
All right. Well, have fun.
good. Thank you very much, David.
Thanks, David.
Yep.
Take care.
Good luck. Stay well.
Yeah,
You too.
everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.